facts and spicy sides.
From breaking headlines to bathroom whispers.
Also hot and fresh. Happy Wednesday. I'm Monique Tuzon-Basi.
I'm Ferdi Salvador, and we are glad to have you with us.
I'm Mai Rodriguez. This is the Daily Dish.
And I'm Chal Lontoc. Join us in the next hour and a half where the news meets the stories that matter to all of us.
Yes.
There is a lot to talk about today.
Every day, thank God, we don't run out of things to talk about.
The entertainment
dead air.
industry is just coming out with a lot of stuff and a lot of fun info for us.
Yes.
So for all my millennials out there, Mai and Ferdi were laughing at me in the makeup room because they're like, Mo, what's your banter today? Hello, my favorite country in the world, Genovia.
I know this. It took me a second to wait, fictional country, right?
Yeah,
No,
so
it's not
Mai said she
fictional.
doesn't subscribe to it. But before we talk about your country of birth,
Yes.
Genovia, Whoopi Goldberg is throwing slight shade at Caitlyn Jenner.
This is very interesting.
Because Caitlyn Jenner has just claimed that she, on The View, actually, she claims that she can't travel to to different countries because of her passport. Apparently, in
It
the
came
U.S.,
back, yeah.
in the U.S. now you have to put your birth sex symbol on your passport. We all know that Caitlyn was formerly Bruce Jenner. So she's afraid that traveling in that manner may actually put herself in danger. So, what Whoopi Goldberg said...
What did Tita Whoopi say?
Tita Whoopi said, well, we told you that's
Told
what you
you so.
chose by
She voted
voting
for Trump.
for Trump. And so she was just throwing a little bit of shade.
Turns out it came out to bite him in the bleep.
Bite her. Her, yeah.
Yes, bite her.
So I did see an
Yeah.
interview of this, and she did say that she was not using her connection still.
But she wrote Trump.
She wrote Trump and tried to meet him at
Mar-a-Lago.
Mar-a-Lago. She did submit her birth certificate, which is already on naka-female na.
Okay.
So, but still no response, no reply. We'll see how it
We'll
turns
see.
out. But
6'7".
360, 6'7".
6'7".
That's a developing story.
Yes.
Well, to my fellow Genovians out there and millennials. So allegedly, Princess Diaries 3 is coming out soon. You know, from Devil Wears Prada to Princess Diaries, Anne Hathaway is killing it.
All the
And-
sequels are coming out.
Yeah, and Chris Pine is allegedly coming back. He's my favorite Chris of all the Chris's.
Oh my
Fun
gosh,
fact.
really?
I love Chris Pine. And his fans are called the Pine Nuts.
Pine nut? So you're a pine nut.
Mai's like,
Pine nut.
what are you talking
No, like
about?
my favorite Chris Pine is
Chris Pine
Cap.
from Star Trek.
Okay,
Trek.
but who's Cap? Captain America.
That's Chris Evans.
That's my favorite Chris. Yes.
Well, only because you brought up Princess Diaries and Anne Hathaway. She's actually going extra viral now.
Why?
Simply because she came in an interview talking about aging gracefully, and somewhere along the line, she did say that hopefully she would age gracefully, inshallah. And that word took off on the internet. It shouldn't really be anything, because inshallah just simply means God willing,
Yeah, God
right?
willing.
But of course,
a
everyone
beautiful
went
term,
crazy.
yes.
On one hand, people were excited, especially the Muslims, people doing Islam. Has she actually converted? All of these talk. And on the other side, people questioning why did she have to use that. For me, I think it's a beautiful word.
It is a
It's
beautiful
really
word.
nice.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yes, Ferdi. You gotta support this.
I'm supporting this because I love the term inshallah because it's beautiful and it can be universal.
It's also good that people are learning about this word.
Yes,
It's
other
nice that
cultures.
Anne put that out there so people who don't know the word can look it up and know what it is.
Get curious
but,
and all.
you know, speaking of Anne, Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock are also coming back to do Practical Magic 2. There's
See,
a
all the sequels
all
are
the
coming
fun
out.
movies
Yeah.
from the 90s are all coming
What's
back.
that, Tita Mo?
It's the Witchcraft and Wizardry. No, that's Harry Potter. It's
Which brings us to this point. You know what? That Chal had a past life regression. And apparently...
Hopefully we'll be able to guess him here on the show. So yeah, I was into all of these. Witchcraft is not necessarily bad. The stories of the past witches, it's really about women, who were empowered back in the time and speaking up, and they were crucified for it. But yeah,
No,
I
they were
didn't
burned
regret.
to the stake.
They were burned.
They were not crucified.
That
Let's
was
not
Jesus.
get bashed.
Hold on. So yes, I had an experience where I got a regression hypnosis, and I did see my past, and it just so happens that I used to be a witch, proudly.
You were a
She was a
witch?
good
Yes.
witch.
Good
I hope
witch
a
fighting
white-
for women.
A white witch.
A white, well, white, black, brown, whatever. But
Basta good witch.
And of course, she
Good
told us, and I was like, I'm not surprised.
She was actually
against
Galinda
it.
in her other life.
Good.
and I'm not against it. But yeah, practical magic really made an impact for, well, my generation back then, with all, not just the love story, but more of what was happening all throughout the movie. And the music.
Yes,
Put
put the lime in the coconut.
Oh my
So
gosh, I do
good.
not remember.
Mai, sorry,
Wait,
I'm on your boat.
We have to watch it, okay, the
Yeah.
original,
Yes.
before, watching the sequel.
We have time.
Yeah, we have time. Anyway, it's a packed show today. We have historian Manolo Quezon in the show, and we will be talking about the launch of an exhibit
Yes.
that focuses on the galleon trade.
The Galleon Trade from Mexico. We're super excited about that. And learning with a fun twist with Louis Enriquez from Think Responsibly. So we're Louis rather, then we're gonna, of course, get educated by Louis Enriquez. Let's go looking forward to that.
Yes, it's apparently a new emerging movement, Think Responsibly, mixing nightlife with meaningful conversations and
6-7?
some learning. 6-7. Stay tuned for those conversations coming up. But first, the headlines. In today's top stories, lawmakers weigh in on former House Speaker Martin Romualdez's statement denying any involvement in the flood control scheme. The House Justice Committee will zero in on the supposed unexplained wealth of Vice President Sara Duterte and her SAON in day 3 of her impeachment hearings. U.S. President Donald Trump says a ceasefire with Iran will be extended until negotiations conclude, but their blockade on the Strait of Hormuz remains. And later in the show, let's talk about art and culture as we are joined by Manolo Quezon on the launch of Museo del Galeon. And after that, we'll have Louis Enriquez to tell us more about how his talk series, Think Responsibly, is changing the Manila nightlife scene. Stay tuned for that. A lot of reactions to the former House Speaker. ACT Teachers Representative Antonio Tino says that Martin Romualdez might be suspecting that his cousin, President Bongbong Marcos, would throw him under the bus, which may have prompted him to release his 11-minute video statement last night. In a rare statement, Romualdez refused to take responsibility for the supposed budget irregularities, but Tino believes that the former speaker also had a hand in it. Tino also tells BNC's On Point he still thinks Marcos is the mastermind of all the corruption scheme.
With the statements of the Ombudsman, who was a former Justice Secretary of the President, na kakasuhan nga si former Speaker Romualdez, pati si former Senate President Chis Escudero. So ngayon, very clearly, sinasabi niya, I will not go alone. So not so subtle na threat, no? Na sige, gawin niyo akong scapegoat, marami akong maibubunyag.
Meantime, Kabataan Party List Representative Rene Co says Romualdez's statement is a diffusion of responsibility.
Kung anumang mga proposals and under-the-table negotiations and arrangements na ginawa, no, that already happens at the proposal level. And may maghahabol as the budget process goes. But kinakash in din during that time, as well as in the implementation phase. Nandiyan yung pagkuha ng commitments or yung paghabol ng kung ano nakuha ng commitments and even yung kickbacks.
A lot of reactions coming in following the former speaker's statement last night. Let's check on the House of Representatives. Janina Vela is monitoring the situation there. Hi, Janina, tell us more about what's happening there.
Good afternoon, Mai. Several lawmakers have already fired back at former House Speaker Martin Romualdez following his statement just last night. Cavite 4th District Representative Francisco Kiko Barzaga said Speaker Martin Romualdez only acted on orders of President Marcos. He asserts that even if he is imprisoned, corruption will persist as long as Marcos remains in Malacanang. Yesterday, the former House Speaker broke his silence on his alleged connection with the ongoing probe into the alleged anomalies in flood control projects. In his statement, Romualdez appeared to issue a warning to the administration, saying he knows many things about the current and past administrations. He also made it clear that he will not be made a scapegoat so that those truly accountable can walk away clean. Romualdez likewise mentioned or questioned the allegation that he was the mastermind on the corruption issue, saying the House of Representatives is only a part of the legislative branch of government. Meanwhile, Batangas Rep. Leandro Leviste said if Congress is not the mastermind of the flood control projects, then it is our duty to find out who truly is. But Mai, we are still waiting on a statement from the current House Speaker, Boji D. Mai.
Very busy day at the lower house, Janina, and you mentioned that the former speaker pinned the blame on former Senate President Cheese Escudero and Zaldico as the mastermind of the budget insertions. I wonder what is the mood there at the House of Representatives?
Well, actually, this seems not to be a distraction right now as the ongoing impeachment hearing is running live right here, right? So right now, the congressmen are busy and focused, but we were able to briefly speak to Ombudsman Boying Remulla on the House Speaker's approval of Romualdez's travel clearance. Mai, according to him, it is what it is, pero hindi daw siya papayag, and this is still under investigation. Mai.
Thank you, Janina Vela, reporting to us live from the Batasang Pambansa. Former House Speaker Martin Romualdez could soon implicate the president's son, Ilocos Norte Representative Sandro Marcos, in the flood control scandal. That's according to political analyst Dr. Froilan Calilong. On BNC's At the Forefront, Calilong said Romualdez could also link his nephew in the anomalous budget insertions. In his video statement, Romualdez asserts that accountability must follow the entire chain and not be selectively assigned.
Since Congressman Sandro Marcos also worked closely with former Speaker Martin Romualdez, do you think there's a risk that Congressman Sandro Marcos will also be implicated?
Yes. I think there's a big possibility for that. Remember, I think it was Congressman Ege Erice who pointed out that if the president is there and kung parang sinasabi Congressman Erice, mas madaling magnakaw kapag yung tito mo yung may hawak ng ganito at yung tatay mo ng may hawak ng ganito, mas madaling mag-orchestrate, ano. And I think definitely, when the cake crumbles, and exactly what we're seeing right now, talagang magkakalaglagan na yan.
Calilong adds that three things could have possibly triggered Romualdez to finally break his silence: the arrest of Zaldico in the Czech Republic and the oral arguments on Tuesday, where the Supreme Court called the unprogrammed appropriations monumental. Another factor is the whole departure order being sought by the ombudsman against him. Meantime, Calilong says if President Marcos gets implicated by Romualdez, it will have an adverse effect on his political capital.
Pero siguro ang magiging resultant effect nito, yung kanyang political capital will really be eroded, and whoever it is that is going to be endorsing to be his successor will really find it very, very difficult to actually mount a victory.
The Senate says former Speaker Martin Romualdez had all the chance to defend himself on the corruption allegations, but missed it. Hannah T is reporting to us live from the Senate for the details. Hannah, tell us more about what Blue Ribbon Committee Chair Panfilo Lacson said.
My Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chair Ping Lacson said former House Speaker Martin Romualdez missed his chance to defend himself into the Senate's investigation in the controversial 2025 national budget. Lacson says the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee sent at least 2 official invitations to Romualdez to attend hearings last November and January, where he could have addressed allegations linking him to the so-called mangling of the budget. These allegations are tied to questionable insertions, including flood control projects currently under investigation by the panel. But Romualdez did not attend both hearings. This is after Romualdez released a video statement denying any role in the budget changes, saying he was not part of the bicameral conference committee or the small committee that finalized the General Appropriations Bill. Instead, he attributed the changes to former Senate President Chis Escudero and former lawmaker Zaldico.
2 people were instrumental in making those budget decisions, Chis Escudero and Zaldico. And once the budget becomes law, the work of implementing flood control projects, or any project for that matter, is solely within the purview of the executive, including the DPWH, certainly not by legislators.
But Lacson maintains that the hearings were the proper venue for Romualdez to respond under oath and public scrutiny. The Blue Ribbon Probe is part of a broader investigation into alleged irregularities in the national budget, with Lacson continuing to push for greater transparency, especially at the bicameral level where final changes are made. In its future hearings, the panel is set to invite Co and Romualdez, among others, to testify should they schedule another probe. Mai?
Hannah, so it's possible that these flood control figures may confront each other since they're invited in the next Blue Ribbon Probe.
Yes, actually, Lacson himself confirmed that he wants to invite Co, Romualdez, even the 18 ex-Marines, and also the surprise witness named Orly Guteza. At sinabi niya, para raw malaman natin kung sino ba yung nagsasabi ng totoo at hindi, maganda na raw na pagsabay-sabaying imbitahan itong flood control figures na ito para mabigyang linaw itong allegation about cash deliveries made in relation to the anomalous flood control projects. Back to you, Mai.
Thanks, Hannah T, joining us live from the Senate. The House Committee on Justice continues hearing the impeachment complaints filed against Vice President Sara Duterte. Kumuha tayo ng update mula kay Isaiah Mirafuentes ng Abante mula sa Batasang Pabansa. Isaiah, ano na ang tinututukan ngayon ng komite?
May nagpapatuloy pa nga rin sa ngayon ang posibleng ikalawa sa huling pagdinig ng House Justice Committee kaugnay sa impeachment complaints laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte bago ito maiakyat sa plenaryo ng Kamara. At sa ngayon nga, may numero at dokumento ang sinisilip ng mga miyembro ng komite na kanilang pagbabasihan kung may probable cause ba ang mga reklamo laban sa bise.
Sa totoo lang, nagos na nga tayo. Tila ginagaslight pa tayo. Ang mas mahalagang tanong ay kung nasaan ang pera. Ngunit ang sagot sa atin ay tungkol sa grado sa kolehiyo.
Ngayong araw, dahil yan sa hindi pa rin pagdalo ng bises sa pagdinig ng komite. Giit ni Luis Tro, numero mula sa mga dokumento ang mga pagbabasihan ng ebidensya ngayong araw. At ayon pa sa kanya, numbers don't lie. Kasama sa mga invited ngayong araw ay ang mga complainants ng 3rd and 4th complaint laban sa bise. Maliban sa kanila, dumating rin si former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV matapos siyang ipasabpina kaugnay sa unexplained wealth ng pamilya Duterte.
Sir, ano po mga ina-expect nating ma-present niyo po today? Mamaya na po. Sige, mamaya na lang. Sir, mas marami bang pasabog ngayong kayong ilalabas? Marami.
Sumunod sa kanyang dumating ang mga opisyal ng Office of the Ombudsman, kabilang na si Ombudsman Jesus Crispin Remulla. Samantala, may pakita rin natin ang kopya ng salin ng bise na nakuha natin para sa taong 2022 hanggang 2024. Base sa mga dokumento, taong 2022, nang maupo siya bilang bise, umabot sa mahigit 71 million pesos ang net worth ni VP Sara at mayroon siyang nasa 3.7 million pesos na liabilities. Taong 2023, umakit na sa mahigit 77.5 million ang net worth ng mag-asawang Duterte at bumaba na ang kanilang liability sa 2.5 million pesos. Noong 2024 naman pumalo na sa 88.5 million pesos ang kinita ni Duterte at umakyat sa mahigit 9.9 million pesos ang kanilang mga naging utang. Mike, sa kasalukuyang pagdinig ng House Justice Committee, naparinig pa rin natin dito ay kasalukuyan pa rin pinag-uusapan ng mga mambabatas ay ang SALN na ipinresinta ni Vice President Sara Duterte mula yan sa taong 2007 hanggang 2024. Ngayon may kinwestiyon naman ng ilang mambabatas dahil mula 2019 hanggang 2024 ay hindi na nagpresenta hindi na nagsumite ng SALN si VP Sara kaugnay sa kanyang cash on hand at cash on bank na ayon sa ilang mga mambabatas, isa daw ito dapat na silipin nila kaugnay nga sa impeachment complaints laban sa bisa. Isa rin sa inaabangan natin ngayon, maya-maya hinihintay natin na magsasalita na rin si former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV kaugnay nga sa unexplained wealth ng pamilya Duterte. At past 11 a.m. kanina nakita na rin nating lumabas dito sa House of Representatives si Ombudsman Jesus Crispin Remulla.
Isaiah, aside from the SALN, alam ko tututukan din ng House Justice Committee yung confidential funds ng Vice Presidente at paano ito nagastos. Katunayan, narinig ko yung opening statement ni Chairman Louis at sinabi niya na baka itong si VP Sara ay hindi public servant kundi silent billionaire. At na-mention mo si Ombudsman Remulla ay nandyan sa pagdinig. Nagsalita na ba siya at ano na ang kanyang mga nasabi?
Kanina nung lumabas si Ombudsman Jesus Crispin Remulla, hinabol natin siya dahil nga sa ibang pinto siya dito dumaan. Tinanong natin siya kaugnay nga sa naging pagdinig o naging karanasan niya sa pagdinig kaugnay sa impeachment. Isa sa mga, kahit ano sa mga tanong namin kaugnay nga sa SALN na VP Sara ay hindi sinagot ni Ombudsman Remulla. Pero ayon sa mga staff ni Ombudsman, inaasahan ngayong hapon daw ay may press conference si Remulla sa Office of the Ombudsman. Subalit maliban nga dyan, ang tanging tanong lang na sinagot sa atin ni Remulla ay ang kaugnay sa issue naman ni Martin Romualdez. Ang sabi niya, naninindigan siya na hindi niya papayagan si Romualdez sa makalis ng Pilipinas.
Maraming salamat, Isaiah Mirafuentes ng Abante, nag-uulat ng live mula sa Batasang Pambansa. Ombudsman Crispin Remulla presented VP Sara Duterte's statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth before the House Justice Committee. Joan Manalo is on the phone for the details. Joan, tell us about the period covered by these SALNs that were presented.
The Office of the Ombudsman has appeared before the House Committee on Justice in compliance with a subpoena issued by the panel. This is in support of the ongoing impeachment proceedings against Vice President Sara Duterte. Ombudsman Jesus Crispin Remulla is present at today's hearing and has addressed the committee alongside members of his staff, where they presented the Vice President's statements of assets, liabilities, and net worth, or SALN, as requested by the Justice Committee. So far, the Ombudsman has presented VP Sara's SALNs from 2007 to 2024, including those filed during her terms as Vice Mayor and Mayor of Davao City. Around 30 lawmakers were able to raise their questions to the Ombudsman and his team, and they were already able to conclude the questioning with the Ombudsman. Apart from the impeachment proceedings, there are also expectations that Ombudsman Remulla may address the statement made by former House Speaker Martin Romualdez yesterday, where he denied being the mastermind behind the alleged large-scale corruption linked to the flood control scandal. This comes after the Ombudsman disclosed that it has requested the Anti-Money Laundering Council, or AMLAC, to freeze Romualdez's bank accounts and assets. The Ombudsman also expressed the view that Romualdez should be restricted from leaving the country following the grant of a travel clearance by House Secretary General Cheloy Garafil on Monday, April 20. This is still based on his commitment to return after a long overdue follow-up for his angioplasty procedure. The approved travel period is from April 20 to May before, although Romualdez' staff said on Tuesday evening that the former House Speaker remains in the Philippines. The Ombudsman has also asked the Sandigan Bayan to issue a precautionary hold departure order or PHDO against Romualdez, but the anti-graft court has yet to act on this request. The only legal basis to bar him from traveling abroad would be a PHDO or a hold departure order, and so far no court has issued either. Mai.
Joan, let me clarify briefly. Do we expect the Sandigan Bayan to issue a resolution on that PHDO request by the Ombudsman against Romualdez today?
Our latest update is that the petition has now been submitted for resolution as the Sandigan Bayan 7th Division, who handles the petition, held a hearing earlier today, and we are yet to see if a resolution would be formally issued today by the anti-graft court. Mai.
Thanks for that report, Joan Manalo. I have long been a DDS. That was the admission of Batangas 1st District Representative Leandro Leviste, who said he has been a longtime supporter of the Duterte administration. On BNC's The Spokes, the neophyte lawmaker said more can be achieved if some policies from the previous administration are continued.
And the other thing I don't like about Congress is people are always moving parties to where there's a budget. And 90% of the current Congress was DDS during the time of the previous administration. And I can say I cannot be bought. That's why I'm not going to suddenly be silenced just because it is politically inconvenient.
Meanwhile, Leviste, the son of Senator Loren Legarda, also hinted at possible future political plans. But he stopped short of confirming a 2028 bid, saying his focus remains on serving the province of Batangas. In other news, the tension between the United States and Iran is showing no signs of easing, and global markets are feeling the impact. Despite a temporary truce, both sides appear to be holding their ground, with military and economic pressures still in place. For the latest, Ivy Reyes joins us live from Quezon City. Ivy, go ahead.
Yes, Mai, the two-week ceasefire between Iran and the United States ends today. And as of 5 a.m. this morning, Brent crude was trading at $99.13, which is quite a jump from $96.06 at midnight last night. This jump comes just an hour after U.S. President Donald Trump announced that they're extending the ceasefire, but they're also continuing the blockade they stationed in Iranian ports. Since 9:30 a.m., Brent crude has been trading between $97 to $98 a barrel, and this volatility, according to Trading Economics, is largely due to investors accepting that there's an impasse or a deadlock between the U.S. and Iran before or hours before the truce ended. Vice President J.D. Vance was supposed to be in Pakistan to settle peace talks with Iran, but his trip to Islamabad was called off as Iran refrained from confirming their participation on the negotiating table. On the blockade, the U.S. Treasury vowed to maintain maximum pressure on Iran's maritime trade to directly, and I quote, target the country's primary revenue lifelines and degrade their ability to move and generate funds. Since the blockade was put up almost 2 weeks ago, Washington Central Command says they've already intercepted about 27 vessels, which is why Trump was claiming they're pushing huge losses onto Iran. On his Truth Social platform this morning, President Trump believes Iran is merely saving face by saying they want to open the strait. According to Trump, there can never be a deal with Iran if they surrender to their terms, unless, and I quote, the U.S. blows up the rest of the country, including Iranian leaders. But how is Iran taking America's latest pronouncements? Iran's foreign ministry sees the blockade as an act of war and a violation of the truce, and joins Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian in saying that Iranians do not submit to force, and that, and I quote, deep historical mistrust toward the U.S. remains, while constructive and contradictory signals from American officials only seek Iran's surrender. Iran says they can defend themselves from what they assert as America's bullying. President Trump's attitude since the first day of the war on February 28 has not changed, as he argues that he's winning this almost 3-month war against Iran. And as for the Philippines, Malacanang yesterday announced that our average oil supply can last us up to 52 days. We also have, according to our Energy Department, a total of 471,000 oil barrels delivered as of April 21. As the Philippines gets its second consecutive rollback since the war, Energy Secretary Sharon Garin is unsure if this rollback will continue because much of the changes in the market depends on Washington. Right now, that's all the updates I have on the ceasefire. Mai.
Thanks for the update. Ivy Reyes joining us live from Quezon City. Newly appointed Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation and Unity, Mel Sanen Sarmiento says conditions in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao have markedly improved. On BNC's agenda, Sarmiento cites years of peace agreements and sustained community work as key drivers of progress. He adds that ongoing deals with groups like the MILF and MNLF with grassroots programs his foundation has supported have helped transform the region from decades of conflict.
Siyempre ngayon nakatutok tayo sa BARM, yung agreement na ginawa ng ating pamahalaan at ang MILF. Kasama din po diyan yung mga previous na mga peace agreements na ginawa ng ating gobyerno. Kasama na dyan yung MNLF, CPLA, ABB at iba pang mga grupo.
Okay, but is it as bad as it was before or is it getting better?
Malaki po yung improvement. Gaya po sa BARM, I've been doing pro bono community development work for the past 10 years. Chairperson po ako ng isang foundation. Bago po nitong appointment ngayon, involved na po kami sa BARM for almost 5 years now. Malaki talagang improvement sa lugar. In fact, galing pa lang ako sa butik ng isang araw at sa Marawi kahapon. At dahil sa mga programang ginagawa ng aming foundation, kasamang Daisha Foundation, malaki talagang improvement kung ikumpara natin sa mga sitwasyon niya ng mga ilang dekadang mga dumaan.
In other news, the Energy Regulatory Commission has ordered Meralco to refund the remaining 14.17 billion pesos to its customers. This comes after the completion of Meralco's regulatory process for the distribution charges implemented from July 2022 to December 2024. The ERC says the refund will be implemented in a shorter period of 12 months instead of the original 36 months. The initial refund of almost 20 billion pesos began in April 2025. ERC Chairperson and CEO Attorney Francisco Saturnino Juan highlighted the need for timely regulatory action, saying that the Commission's mandate is to protect consumers while maintaining a stable and predictable regulatory environment. Coming up next, we'll have writer and historian Manuel Luis Quezon III to tell us about the historic launch of the Museo del Galeon, exploring our Filipino heritage through the galleon trade. Don't go away. The Daily Dish will be right back.
Welcome back to the Daily Dish. We'll soon witness the historic launch of the Museo del Galeon, a museum with a full-scale galleon replica as its main exhibit.
The first of its kind in Asia, the museum lets us explore our shared Filipino heritage during the galleon trade when our young nation was under Spanish colonization. And here to tell us about this one-of-a-kind exhibit, is Executive Director Manuel Luis Quezon III. Manolo, thank you so much.
Thanks for making time.
This is super exciting.
Well, as you said, it's super exciting.
We were talking about it earlier on that, we've been hearing about this for years, and finally it's here, it's happening. Let's get into it. When is it going to be opening to the public?
Well, it's going to be opening to the public on May 1, but tomorrow we're having the inauguration. And you're right, it's been a long time coming. I mean, you were there, right? We were talking before the camera when Senator Angara
Senator Angara, the former Senator Angara was talking to me about, the old man, was talking to me about the launch and his passion about the galleon trade. And in fact, he had artifacts from Mexico.
Well, because growing up in Baler, the sea is your backyard, right? And it's because of him, of the late Senator Edgardo Angara, that this museum came to be. He wanted, and he really made, he crossed the world enlisting support for it. And we broke ground in 2016, so it's been 10 long years.
1 decade.
And finally we're opening. It's there were even rumors. What's that building in MOA with the dome? is it some people were saying, is it a nuclear reactor? What is it?
Yes.
And well, as you said, it's going to have a life-size representation. It's not a replica, and that's a bit of a technical term. So let me put my museum hat on here, okay? So it's life-size, it's 30 meters tall from the tip of the mast to the bottom. It's over 20 meters long and 13 meters wide. You're going to be able to go inside and see how it was.
Wow, you can experience it inside.
Yes, it's an experiential museum. So you go in, you can hear, you can see, hopefully not touch too much, but some things you can touch, right? And really see what are these remarkable boats that for 250 years. This was this lifeline that was connecting Manila to Acapulco, halfway across the world. From Acapulco to Manila was anywhere from a short 3 to 4 months, maybe 6 months. Going back was a minimum of 6 months to over a year.
Right.
And 30% of you weren't going to make it.
Yeah, can you imagine the voyage and the perils that the sailors went
This was
through?
before GPS, before you only had the wind and the sun and the stars to guide you.
Okay, when you mentioned the voyage, I think I'd like to debunk, because for someone like me who's not, my memory for history is not so good, but I do know that the travel in this 250 years, it's not as often as people thought. It was like twice a year lang, correct?
Just one boat twice, would
Making
make
the
each
rounds.
journey. So, and that was, it was feast or famine, because that boat coming from Acapulco brought the silver, which paid for all the salaries in Manila, and which paid for the silk and the spices and all of the things that were coming to Manila from China and Macau and all these other places, and would then go all the way back to the Americas and then to Europe.
Right.
Can you imagine that?
Yes. Actually, you know what, Manolo, I've actually been in the structure before. When it was under construction, it was used for a fashion show for Carrie Santiago and Bench. And I was thinking, what are they going to put here? I didn't realize it was for the Galeon.
Yes, and that dome where you were in the middle now is that life-size representation
I'm
of the ship.
definitely going, because I think that's a super cool thing. But can you explain to us, Manolo, what the major significance of this project is and how it's impacting our culture and our society?
Well, there are many ways of looking at it. One of them is it's a way to get back to who we are. We're a archipelago. We always hear about it, 7,100 islands, low tide or high tide, whatever, right? But we forget that we are a maritime nation. 1/4 of all the sailors in the world, in all the ships, are Filipinos. Wherever you go in any of the world's 7 seas, there will be a Filipino manning the crew that brings everything from your phone to your food to what we wear. But it didn't start 30, 40 years ago, it's been that way even before the Spaniards came. When Magellan came to Cebu, he was shocked because they discovered that there was an ambassador from Thailand there. Because we were just trading and exchanging, scheming, courting.
Yeah, with the Kingdom of Siam.
Yes, with everyone in our part of the world. And we were doing it on, what is the basic unit of organization in our country? It's the barangay.
Yeah.
The barangay is named after a type of ship, the balanghay.
Yes.
And that's how we came here.
And,
that's how we organized
and
ourselves.
the Malay term Banjar.
Yes.
Which means to say town.
Well, is it true, because there's some talk online, that the Philippines actually, because of the galleon, was a luxury hub? Because of all of this trading, we're talking about spices, silk.
It was an incredible opportunity that happened because China had closed itself off and only restricted the trade that could happen. So they would have to bring the goods from China and other places to Manila. And then the silver from the New World, from the Americas, would come to pay for it. And this is where that exchange happened. Some people have even called it the first globalization.
Really?
Because through Manila, that was the point of exchange between our part of the world and the whole rest of the world going all the way to Europe. And you can see it in the luxury goods. There's these silk shawls in Spain that are very valuable up to now. They're called Manton de Manila. But everything from the humble mango that went all the way across the seas, and so that even in Mexico, they still call it the Manila mango. Yeah. It's not an Indian mango, it's a Manila mango. And all of these things, the song we learn in school, Bahay Kubo, only 3 out of the vegetables that we sing about there are
endemic.
Indigenous. Yes.
Oh,
are indigenous.
really?
The rest
Which one are these?
Okra.
Okra.
It's Mexican. What else?
No, 3 are indigenous.
Well, you're going to have to go to the museum to
okay,
find out. Okay, that's your assignment.
That's a good pull.
Please go to the museum to find out. But there are all these things from, and what's remarkable, and sometimes we have too much of insecurity about ourselves or an inferiority about ourselves. But what you will learn from visiting this place is how everything that touched us, everything we experienced, we left our mark.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so we brought our own ingenuity, aesthetic sense, our own sense of life, love, and everything, and nothing was the same afterwards.
We definitely see the passion you have for this. I kind of want to know how to get you to tour us directly from you. But seriously speaking, are the Filipino people ready already for this type of museums, culture? Because, okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. When people who travel abroad, diba, you see a lot of people talagang immersed sila.
Yeah.
History is really part of the conversation, of their lifestyle. But here, most museums are often regarded as field trips for students. So how can we actually...
Well, don't knock the field trip. I got my passion for history from being dragged on a field trip as a kid. And I think it's a wonderful time to be alive right now because all our museums are having a rebirth.
Right.
Starting with the National Museum.
Yes.
Which you were part of.
Well, just sort of keeping my fingers crossed for them. The Ayala Museum, where I work, all the museums have discovered, okay, it's not supposed to be dusty and dark and intimidating and unwelcoming.
Yes. But don't worry, Manolo. I'm gonna keep you at that. We're gonna have a little cliffhanger for you. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll be seeing more of the Museo del Galeon and Executive Director Manolo Quezon when the Daily Dish returns. Welcome back to the Daily Dish. Still with us is writer and historian Manuel L. Quezon III.
Yeah.
So, we had a cliffhanger before the break, and you're talking about the museums here being touted as dusty.
Yeah, it's a great time to be alive because the museum people have been putting in color, have been treating visitors as honored guests and no longer the enemy, you know, which is the impression you used to get when you were a kid, right? The idea is to make it accessible and understandable. And I'm telling you, when you go through like a museum like ours, it also removes this intimidation of, oh, history, you know. Actually, history is all around us. It's in the fact that when you go to, once I was walking through Central Park and I heard music and I was like, oh, is there a banduria somewhere? But it was a Mexican group. And I was like, whoa, that's, you know, I didn't know anything about the connection back then.
Right.
You go and even, I was talking to someone who's into fashion and they were saying, do you know that the terno that you wear is connected to the way that people, when they are in the beach, will wear a swimsuit but with a t-shirt over it? And I said, how could that possibly be? And they said, it works like this. So when the Spaniards came, of course, whoever's in power, that's the fashion we follow. So everyone started putting on Western dresses and that sort of thing. But we still had to be Filipino and modest. Tapis. So we would put the you know the
Parang sarong?
Yes.
Yes, but
because
the
that
tapis is also taken from our neighbors like Malaysia, Indonesia.
So how, you could wear
Brunei.
all the you know the 16th and 17th century you know European costumes, but you still had to put that thing because it was modest for you and it still made it our own.
Hearing this, ang alam ko sa tapis is when you take a bath, diba, in the province, you have to make tapis.
For modesty,
yeah, for modesty, exactly. Naliligo ka na, may takip pa. I love this, okay.
Yes, but I've got a question. Since you said, you know, we were the first global or the first globalization of economies in, you know, in history, what makes the galleon trade from Acapulco to the Philippines compared to the Silk Road? Do you think we were first?
It replaced the Silk Road, and this is the thing. You know, so you have to ask yourself when you're listening to Yoyoy Villames singing about 1521, why did it occur to them of all times to come here then to look for spices? Because two things happened. In our part of the world, the Ming emperors recalled their fleets. They closed themselves to the world. So they had their fleets that were traveling as far as Africa and everywhere, and they were sort of the ones who were the sort of policemen of this part of the world. They retreated, and all of a sudden there was no one sort of in charge. Then you've heard of the Crusades, and there was the spread of Islam. And Islam spread from the Middle East, and at one point they captured a city called Constantinople, you know, which is Istanbul today. And that was the gateway of the Silk Road from China to Europe.
Correct.
Closed because of the battle between Islam and the West. All of a sudden, you're there, you're a European, you're addicted to spices and pepper and that sort of thing.
Sugar.
Yes, to rot your teeth. And
salt.
Nothing of it can get through. You're going to look for another way. So that's why they started going around, finding a different path. And that's how they ended up here.
What came into mind when you said close for the Silk Road? How very Strait of Hormuz. No, but seriously, I want to ask you as a historian, does history really repeat itself?
As they say, it rhymes. Again, it's the same dynamics, right? Everyone wants power. Everyone wants control. When someone does something, cause and effect, and then it ripples. I'll give you an example. The British got jealous of all these big, fat, juicy galleons coming to Manila from Acapulco, and they said, we want some of that. And they said, to get some of that, we need to get that city, Manila, and make it ours. So they grabbed Manila and they ruled it for 2 years, stealing 2 galleons along the way. Then they gave it back.
Via India.
Yeah, right? They came here via India. They gave it back to Spain, but said, you owe us a ransom from Manila. Okay? So there's this famous ransom of Manila. Spain, not in a good condition, decades. The British, where's our ransom? Where's our ransom? And then so the British said, okay, we're just going to grab this island as payment. That island came to be known as the Falkland Islands.
The Falklands, yes.
And in 1984, a war broke out
War of
between
Falklands, yeah.
the Falkland
Interesting.
Wars because of us.
Yes.
I
That's
like
super
that.
cool.
Are we supposed to be proud about that?
Well,
yeah,
it's
it's historic. No, but yeah, I get it. You know how
Yeah.
it's playing out.
But what can people look forward to aside from history at the Museo del Galeon?
Well, I think they will really appreciate the fact that here is a chance to, especially for the kids, there's a lot of things you can actually get your hands on. There's a lot of things you can actually go through and experience and not just look, but feel, hear. There's many aspects that you will discover that once they start clicking together, you'll start discovering that there was this big chunk in your country's life and therefore in our development that it turns out we had been missing out on. And I think, and that was my experience working on this project, and I think it will be the experience of everyone visiting, it suddenly makes so much more sense.
Okay,
And I think that's what
I'm
you'll
super
get.
excited.
No,
actually.
I'm gonna go definitely and bring my kids as well. So we're gonna start playing a little game over here.
Yeah, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna stop geeking out.
Yes, Ferdi over here is geeking out, and I'm just in my amazement era, just looking at both of you and like, wow, this is so interesting. So we're gonna play quick fire, rapid fire. We ask a question. First thing that comes into your head, just answer it. All right,
Okay.
no filters. Here we go. I'll start it off with top 3 museums for you in the Philippines.
Ayala Museum, National Museum, and the Museo del Galeon.
Of course.
History or art?
Actually, art,
Okay.
because art really feeds your soul.
Well, speaking about art, paintings or sculptures?
Paintings.
Favorite museum piece?
It would be the gold exhibit in the Ayala Museum.
I agree. Okay.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it,
Yes.
it's like
It's,
Tutankhamen, but ours.
Yes,
amazing,
yes.
amazing.
Favorite fun fact on Filipino history? Oh,
All of it is fun. All of it is fun. So,
Well-
you know. No, my favorite fun fact, I guess, is that thanks to Ambeth Ocampo, we know that Jose Rizal had such a big head that as a kid he used to tip over a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's
interesting. I
very
only
cool.
knew about his height, but not
Yeah.
his head.
Yeah. Favorite history aside from the Philippines?
I would say French.
French. All right.
Okay, what's on your For You page? When you scroll, when you look
When it's 2
online,
a.m. and you're
on
looking
Instagram,
at your
on
IG
TikTok,
or
we want to
TikTok.
I
know.
actually have a bit of an addiction now, which is I've discovered that AI is great at colorizing old photos.
Oh,
And
that's
so
your jam.
instead of doom scrolling and getting depressed over the world, I start trying to figure out what pictures can be brought back to life with color, because there's a science to it. You have to realize what people were actually wearing.
It's still art.
You know?
history.
Yeah.
And this is actually beautiful because rather than just consuming, you are creating.
Yes. And I think I think a lot of people could do a lot of creating on their spare time, and it's healthier for everyone.
Correct.
Manolo, if you had 1 billion pesos, what would you buy? Selfish answer.
I would have bought La Solidaridad, the bookstore.
But you still have change out.
You have to stock it. You have to stock
This
it.
is my
I thought you were
favorite
going to say, I'm
answer.
going to buy a galleon.
Can I add to that
Yeah.
as well, since it's 1 billion pesos? If you had 1 billion pesos and you could curate any museum for us here in the Philippines, what would it really be?
I would actually not curate a museum. I would spend it on the National Archives. Because, you know, every time someone dies, all the stuff that they accumulated gets scattered, right? Because not everyone's kids are into it. No problem if it's paintings or jewelry, you know, that's always going to keep value. It's the papers, the diaries that get destroyed and thrown away, and then we have no record of what happened. So I would actually build like the biggest sort of
Art.
rat-proof bodega that was ever built in the Philippines, and say, if you're an old person, give us your diaries, give us your notebooks, give us your papers. If you're a professor, give us your notes, because 100 years from now, no one's going to know how we live.
Correct. So, okay,
Lovely.
before we go, thank you, Manolo, for being here and educating us on the Museo del Galeon. But before we go, Chal, what are the 3 vegetables in the Bahay Kubusong that's
talagang
endemic to the Philippines?
Oh my gosh! Can I say it?
Yes.
Okay. Ano ulit yun? Sigarilyas.
Sigarilyas.
Upo.
Upo and
Tagalog ng ginger.
luya.
I got my answer. Thank you so much. Invite them quickly.
Yes, please come to the Museo del Galeon in the MOA. And you can find us on Facebook and all the social media that you love. Just look for Museo del Galeon, that's with 1 L, and you'll find us.
Thank you so much, Manolo, once again. Now, world sports and entertainment is up next. Stay tuned to the Daily Dish. You did that.
Welcome back to the Daily Dish. Iran wants the Strait of Hormuz reopened to restore oil revenue, but U.S. President Donald Trump says he will keep it totally blockaded amid ceasefire talks. His statement comes just hours after he said he would indefinitely extend the ceasefire to allow more time for diplomacy. Trump adds that Pakistan had asked him to delay a planned U.S. attack so Iran could work on a unified proposal. However, Iran rejects claims that it sought a ceasefire extension, maintaining that the U.S. blockade on Iranian ports is an act of war. In El Salvador, a mass trial for 486 alleged gang members begins. This is part of their president's crackdown on gang violence under emergency powers. Prosecutors say the defendants are linked to more than 47,000 crimes committed in over a decade, including murder, extortion, and arms trafficking. Evidence, including autopsies and ballistic reports, have been presented in court against the alleged members of the Mara Salvatrucha gang. But human rights groups have criticized the emergency measures and collective trials, warning they undermine due process and legal defense rights.
MP Promotions President Sean Gibbons says Mark Magsayo is ready for any challenge as talks of a possible showdown with unbeaten lightweight Andres Cortez gain traction after their recent wins. Anton Rojas with the details.
MP Promotions Chief Sean Gibbons says he is open to any opponent for Mark Magsayo as the Filipino continues his run in the lightweight division. One possible matchup is against Andres Cortez, who scored a points victory over Edson Garcia at Zuffa Boxing 05. Cortez expressed interest in facing Magsayo, who delivered a fifth-round technical knockout of Ireland's Fergal McCrary earlier this month. The win marked a strong statement for Magsayo in his move up to 135 pounds.
Mark Magsayo, Zuffa Boxing, all lightweights, Andres Cortez, Rayo Valenzuela, Eduardo De Los Santos, lightweights at Zuffa is Mark's weight. He feels the best at that weight, and yeah, he's open for everybody and anybody.
A former featherweight world champion, Magsayo has signed a 3-fight deal with Zuffa Boxing, but fights outside the promotion remain possible. He is currently ranked number 5 by the IBF and number 12 by the WBC. Anton Rojas, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
The NBA revealed the 3 finalists for each of its 7 end-of-season awards. Former Rookie of the Year Victor Wembanyama, 3-time MVP Nikola Jokic, and reigning MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander are the finalists in one of the most competitive MVP races in NBA history. Gilgeous Alexander is seeking to become the 14th player to earn back-to-back MVPs, joining Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Stephen Curry, and LeBron James among active players. Wembanyama and Gilgeous Alexander also won one postseason award each, with the Alien winning Defensive Player of the Year and SGA bagging the Clutch Player of the Year. Formula One has made a series of rule changes to address concerns about the new engine regulations that were introduced for this season. Four-time world champion Max Verstappen has gone as far as to say that he is considering his future in F1 as a result of his dissatisfaction with the new cars. Mercedes-AMG driver George Russell has said he would understand if Verstappen chose to leave Formula One, insisting that Verstappen had nothing left to prove.
And on entertainment news, Kylie Jenner is facing a lawsuit from a former housekeeper over alleged discrimination and a hostile work environment. Angelica Vasquez filed a complaint against Jenner and the agencies that employed her, claiming she was humiliated in front of co-workers and given the most difficult tasks, allegedly due to her religion and her background as a Salvadorian woman. Vasquez says the treatment caused severe stress with symptoms consistent with post-traumatic stress disorder and led to lost wages after she raised complaints. She took medical leave in July 2025 and resigned a month later, saying working conditions have become intolerable. As of now, Jenner's camp has yet to issue a response. Filipino pop continues to make global waves. P-pop groups SB19 and BINI have been nominated for International Group or Duo of the Year at the 2026 SEC or SEC Awards in Brazil. They join global heavyweights including BTS, Blackpink, and other top K-pop acts, further proving OPM's growing international reach. For BINI, it marks their first nomination at the Brazil-based awards following their historic performances at Coachella and the Grammy Museum. Meanwhile, SB19 continues its winning streak after selling out its Wakas sa Simula concert with upcoming performances at the Lollapalooza in Chicago and Summer Sonic in Japan.
Hive Chairman Bang Si-hyuk has responded after South Korean police requested a warrant for his arrest over alleged fraud. Through his lawyer, Bang called the request regrettable, saying he has fully cooperated with authorities. Police accuse him of misleading early investors ahead of Hive's 2019 public listing and steering shares to a private equity fund linked to his associates. The fund later sold its stake after the IPO, with Bang allegedly receiving about 30% of the profits. Estimated at nearly 200 billion won, Bang has denied any wrongdoing, maintaining the transactions were made at investors' requests. Hive is the entertainment company behind global K-pop sensation BTS.
Up next, Think Responsibly, founder Louis Enriquez shares his story on the origins of one of the hottest events taking over Manila's nightlife. Stay with us at The Daily Dish and we will be right back.
Just say hi.
Nightlife usually means music, drinks, and a good time. But what if it could also mean meaningful conversations and fresh ideas?
Our next guest is the mind behind Think Responsibly, an event series that's redefining how we spend our nights, turning social spaces into hubs for learning, connection, and self-growth. Let's get to know the visionary behind this movement, Louis Enriquez.
Hi, Louis.
Hello.
Good
Hi,
afternoon.
Louis.
Thanks
Hello.
for being here. You
Thank
know
you
what?
for having me.
With the subject matter on hand, I was like, I can't imagine. Right?
That's what I told him when I saw him.
Meaningful
I said,
connectivity with a triple vodka on the rocks may
Right.
be a
Well,
little
you're a
bit of a
little
stretch for me.
drunk and learning.
Yeah.
I'm so intrigued.
Tell us about it.
Okay, so Think Responsibly is really a social learning experience. So imagine attending a TED Talk, but then again, with drinks. Right? So that's the whole difference of Think Responsibly. So we're all about learning we're all about learning in a bar, and because we believe
I
that
am there. I survived university.
Correct. So basically, for us, we believe that learning doesn't always need to happen in the classroom. Sometimes it's in a bar. Sometimes it's over drinks. So that's exactly what we're doing.
Have you guys done studies on how people retain knowledge while they're like intoxicated? Because when I drink, my Tagalog gets better.
Yeah.
So I don't know. If
I'm a witness to that.
So I don't know if it's the same thing. If you're drinking, you absorb more learnings.
Well, have you ever had an experience where you're drinking with your friends and then, sometimes you realize that, that's something that I've definitely learned. So at least for myself, that's something that I've experienced, and it's something that we like to share with the others.
Yeah, the first 2 rounds, yes.
After that, it's blurry.
The rest.
After that, it's like, what are you saying again?
Okay, so at least for our events and Think Responsibly, we do focus more on the learning part and the socialization part. So it's not exactly a party where you need to have like 10 shots. So it's really more of the social part of drinking, and then I feel like as a society, we're kind of trying to level up on how we entertain ourselves, and that's exactly what we're trying to do.
All right, so put yourself in a situation where you're my child, and you're talking to your father, and you're making paalam to go to a bar to learn. How would you justify it?
Okay, I love that situation because let's say, if I'll talk to my father, I'll say, Daddy, can you come with me?
I'm gonna go learn, but I'm also gonna drink.
Yeah.
Exactly. And would you like to join me with my friends? Exactly. That's exactly the experience.
That's a slippery slope.
Right? What kind of people do you guys typically get? What age group?
All right. So I feel like generally speaking, it's that trentahin
I still don't understand what trentahin means.
So basically, if you're in your 30s, so these are young professionals. Usually you also get founders and other business people. Not exactly. So we have a few Gen Zs in the mix, but mostly it's 30s and up. That's the general population.
And what time does it start?
Okay, so it's targeted for people it's an after office thing. It can be. So it's usually 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So the structure is that it's a 20-minute lecture followed by a 20-minute Q&A, and then there's another speaker, and we do it again, and then there's a DJ after, but doesn't become a party. It's just enough for people to continue to talk.
Okay. So okay, we get it now. So it's the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, basically the first 2 rounds.
Because
It's the warm-up.
Your first cocktail.
It's like a dating thing. Like, right, you go to the lecture to learn. Yeah.
And do you have those organic meetups there?
It's funny because yes, it does happen there. Well, of course, I'm not updated with what happens next.
But, I'm sure you see them come back for the next round.
Correct, and we have seen it. One of the fun ones that I've noticed is that 20% of the attendees are usually solo goers. And then, of course, I become friends with them. And then I see that a week later, they're already playing pickleball. And I'm like, oh, in fairness.
Clean up on aisle 6. It's a dating game.
What kind of speakers do you all typically have to lecture?
Okay, so super excited with that question. So we have so many speakers. It ranges from technology, business. One of the recent ones we've had was about chocolates and tarot reading.
Wait, that's so cool.
But it's not fun because Mo and I are not there.
We weren't
yet.
there.
And of course, Chal and Mai. I think you should have the 4 of us on one
The party's
panel.
not there yet.
Yeah, that's definitely something we can talk about. Super
Absolutely.
excited.
And where do you normally hold these affairs?
Okay, so typically it's in BGC and Makati for now because it's close where I live.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there an entrance fee to this? Do you sign up? And
yes.
And how much is it?
So there's an entrance fee of 1,000, and then usually the package of what's inside it varies depending on the venue partner that we have.
So it's consumable?
It's typically a drink and a snack.
Sign us up for 5,000 because
we need a whole table. We need a buffet.
Do
people, have you noticed, do they typically listen to the lecture or do they just come for the vibes?
Okay. So generally speaking, so the audience is usually mixed. right? So of course there are people who are really interested with the speaker and the topic, and then sometimes it's really just for the vibe. You know, they like to experience it. Since it's new here in the Philippines. Technically, right now this is the only one that's happening in the Philippines where we do lectures in bars, and I feel like it's something that's, you know, it's an evolving nightlife here in Manila, and I feel like we're so happy to be the first one to do this.
Yes, a lot of people go out, of course, to de-stress or escape stress, and you're asked them to engage and think. Why do you think that resonates now?
Okay, so just like what I've shared with my friends, I feel like again, as a society, we are evolving on the way we want to be entertained. Now, it's not just about drinking. Now, it's also about, you know, doing something else. That's why there are other events like pottery making, you know, more complicated dating events. So this time, it's a lecture in a bar.
Louis, take us back to the moment you came up with this. Because I'm sure in the beginning, you're like, okay, drinking and learning, is this really gonna work? So when did you actually decide to, okay, let's try it and let's do it?
It's so funny because I have two versions of how to answer that. So the formal one is, of course, in relation to what I do for work. I used to organize a lot of events, corporate stuff. So let's say talks in universities, talks in hotels and different conferences. So I already have the relationships with the speakers. So some of them I was able to convince that, hey, why don't we do that exact same talk, but then this time in a bar? But here's the other version. So I actually have I have a friend who attended a similar event where, you know, I think it was a networking dinner, something like that, and she paid, I think, 1,700 for the dinner. And of course, one of her goals is to be able to meet someone, but she didn't. And then I told her, huh, you paid 1,700 for that? Let me organize something and then you come attend that instead. And
Did
then
you
a week
marry
later, so a week later, I was able to come up with this.
Interesting. Do the conversations get heated and, you know, after the lecture?
I feel like this is like a trivia night. You know, like in college when you do like once a week trivia night with your friends, I feel like this is kind of similar.
It is similar to that, at least with the vibe and the interactions, especially after, because, you know, people do try to interact with one another, well, whether it's for, you know, it's just for friendship or just the connections or maybe potentially date someone, then yeah, it's really up to them, but it has a similar vibe.
Have you seen people's mindset shift right after a session?
Well,
literally and figuratively.
I was about to say, sweetie, with a couple of drinks, your mind definitely will shift. But
yeah, so at least nothing that was reported to me directly, but I do see it because I do get feedback from other attendees actively, and some of them, they have mentioned that, okay, especially after the second speaker, because by that time it's already at least the second drink. Right. So by that time they interact more with the others, and yeah.
Wait, I have a question. Do you cap the drinks at 2?
Okay. So it's up to them.
We need to know. Okay? If we're gonna attend, you know, we need to know.
It's funny. I have one professor who's an upcoming speaker who asked me that because he shared that, what if I get drunk? So it has never happened yet. So we've never put a cap so far.
Wait for us to get on because we don't do single drinks, we do bottles. Okay?
Yeah, they have bottle service there.
Yeah, they need to have bottle service. I mean, that's the attraction, right? But you know, when I was in university, our economics professor would actually bring us to a bar, and that's where our lectures would be. And I have to say, it actually works because you do your tasks and you do your deliberations, and after that, that's when you start drinking. Typically, what crowds surprise you? Do you have walk-ins and stuff?
We do have walk-ins from time to time. We would, of course, prefer that it's pre-registered so that even for the venue partner, they would know how many people to anticipate so that we also have enough seats. Right? So usually that's how we prepare it.
Okay.
That's so fun. Have you seen any unexpected relationships form? I know we've asked that earlier, but not just dating. Like, have you seen like friendships bloom or even business partners? Because I'm just so interested because it's like an entrepreneurship event as well. Because if they're talking about different topics, if you come out with a business partner, a lover, a bestie, you never know. Anything goes.
It's $1,000 worth well spent.
Yeah.
Correct. And that exactly, that is what we also want to happen. I mean, not intentionally, but I have seen it happen. Let's say, literally potential business partnerships. Okay, I'm seeing it here in the video. For instance, with the tarot reading and the chocolates. My friend there, I know he also did an interview here, Rob Rubin in the past.
Yes, we have Rob.
So
we had him twice.
So for Rob, basically, in collaboration with Theo and Philo, the other speaker that we have,
chocolates.
They've met during my event, and now they're doing a collab together for an event happening this Sunday for TarotCon.
Okay, what's on the roster for your next speakers?
Okay, so super excited to share this. So I actually have a scientist who'll talk about crabs, like Sebastian.
That kind of crabs. Okay.
So I also have an Italian chef. You might know him, but let's talk about it later. So an Italian chef who'll talk about pasta.
Okay.
And then that's actually paired up with the topic on intimacy. And we also have other speakers lined up for history, business, technology. And yeah, it gets very specific.
So when's our slot? Because we need to know what to
Ferdi
wear,
really
right?
wants to go.
Chal, and Mo.
Actually, you guys should have like a fashion designer as well speak. That would be cool.
So that's super happy you mentioned that. That's actually lined up for July.
Who is it?
I don't want to share the names right away because of course
us
we're
a
still
hint.
okay. But basically, she has been. I remember she's been featured in TV already, and basically she's into fashion, into bags specifically. Yeah.
Bags. Oh,
Well,
it
you
sounds
didn't
like
really
mine.
give us a clue.
The only clue we got is a she.
Yeah, that's the only clue. I was like, Pati Ann.
How often are the events? Twice
Okay.
a month?
So right now we're already transitioning to twice a month. It used to be once a month since we've literally just started in October. Yeah.
You know, there are studies that state that Gen Zs actually are more intentional with their beverages and
Correct.
and people are drinking less nowadays. Is this a type of environment that the Gen Zs prefer to be more intentional with their cocktails?
Of course. Well, I have read a lot of studies related to this. Of course, it was also raised to me as a potential concern. But other studies have shown that, specifically for Gen Zs, it's not that they don't like to drink anymore. It's just that they want to be intentional, not like, I guess, my generation where I'll take a photo of like the 5 bottles I've bought for the night, right? So now they prefer cocktails. So that's just something that we're adjusting to. So it's a nice cocktail paired up for the evening.
Well, speaking of cocktails, if Think Responsibly could be a cocktail, what cocktail would you all be and why?
Okay. So I feel like it should be a mojito. Since a mojito that's usually my starter drink because I feel like it's refreshing and literally just like what Think Responsibly is, it's refreshing to the people since it's something new here in Manila.
And you pound out the men.
Yeah, you have to.
Right? But dream scenario, one speaker, one topic, one venue. What's your ultimate Think Responsibly night?
Okay. I'm not sure if I should share a name specifically.
You can share a name.
But since Think Responsibly is all about learning, right? So I'd like to have someone pushing an agenda for education. So I've always dreamed if we can have like Bam Aquino speak in one of our events and specifically talk about education in the Philippines.
Or Secretary Angara.
Of course, yeah. So at least those are my top 2 options related to education.
You know what I think you should do? I just saw my friend on screen. That's so funny. I think you should do a Think Responsibly night at the Museo del Galeon.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be cool, actually.
Wouldn't that be super cool?
We
There
were
you
already
go.
talking about it earlier.
Oh,
okay,
nice
cool.
collab.
Mm-hmm.
So for our viewers who are not yet convinced they should be drinking and learning, try to convince them right now on why they should spend their next night with you.
Okay, so specifically for if you're someone looking for something new, something new to experience, and you're curious if what Think Responsibly is, you can find more details on our Instagram page at thinkresponsibly.ph. All of the program details can be found there, and the registration link is also there. And when you do arrive in the venue, please feel free to approach me directly, Louis Enriquez, and I'll remind you to think responsibly.
Yeah, you know what? I think your speaker should come up with a cocktail, curation of
Actually,
their own,
each speaker
right?
should have a cocktail creation for that night.
That's why I'm telling you, you got to be on this thing.
You have to be on this.
You
You have a
really
new
have to
partner.
be.
Yeah, we have to be. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll see you next month. We're inviting ourselves.
Of course, would love to have all of you guys there.
Thank you so much, Louis, and we're looking forward to exchanging ideas and drinking responsibly.
Over 2 drinks at least.
All right,
you.
we're going to take a quick break. Don't go away. The Daily Dish will be right back.